Most of my friends just call me Henry. I had just wrapped up a big deal with a major company out in California. Huge contract, nationwide reach. It was the kind of win that makes a guy's career. I knew my boss, Alex Carter, was going to be over the moon when he heard. This contract would mean real growth for our IT firm. And for me, a nice bump in salary. Maybe, I thought, this was finally the time for my wife Olivia, Liv, as she liked to be called, and me to start the family we had always talked about. But the truth is, that thought was already being eaten away by something else. Something that had started nagging at me since a camping trip Liv and I took with Alex just over a week ago. Ever since we got back, something about Liv had changed. She seemed distant, distracted, snappy even. At first, I brushed it off. Everyone has off days, right? But then we got home and were tossing our clothes in the laundry. That is when I saw something that stopped me cold. A pair of her panties had something strange in the gusset. At first, I thought maybe it was just laundry buildup or detergent residue. But when I looked closer, I knew better. It was dry, crusted, and had a smell that made my stomach turn. Right then, something inside me cracked. I had no idea who it belonged to, but I knew it was not mine. And I knew I could not ignore it. I had a work trip lined up for the West Coast, and I decided that while I was gone, I would take the first steps. If she was cheating, I needed to know for sure. So I made an appointment with a divorce attorney, Grace Bennett. A buddy of mine had used her when his wife stepped out on him, and he said she was sharp. "Are you absolutely sure your wife is being unfaithful?" Grace asked. "Not completely," I said, "but I need to find out. And if she is, I want out." "Well," she said, leaning back in her chair, "this is a no-fault divorce state, so you can file for any reason. But if you want to use adultery as grounds, you'll need hard evidence." "Like what? Photos, video?" "Exactly," she nodded. "I can have a private investigator follow her if you want the truth." "Yes," I said without hesitation. "Set it up." She gave me a rundown of what I should expect. Since Liv and I earned about the same, she was a teacher, there probably wouldn't be any alimony. We had no kids and no property, so it would be a clean split. We each keep our retirement, divide the rest. But Grace added, "If we catch her cheating, that can help you in negotiations." "Let's do it," I told her. "I'll be gone for 3 days. Feels like just the window she might use if something's going on." She nodded and brought in her investigator, Ethan Wright. He handed me a few tools, one to record calls on the landline, another to tuck into her purse for audio. He also suggested putting a tracker on her phone. I hated going this route. It felt low, but if I was going to get to the bottom of this, I needed to go all in. There were other signs too. Since that trip, Alex, my boss, had been acting off. Cocky, smug, like he knew something I didn't. That only added fuel to the fire. The week passed. On the day of my flight, Liv dropped me off at the airport, gave me a kiss, and smiled like everything was fine. "I'll call you after dinner," I told her. "Okay, dear," she said. "Safe flight." That night, when I called like I said I would, she answered, but what she said next caught me off guard. "I'm working a party tonight," she said, "at Alex's house." "Alex is throwing a party?" I asked. "He never mentioned that." One of the waitresses backed out. "He asked me to fill in," she explained. "Said he'd pay me $150. I figured I could use the extra money since school does not start for a couple of weeks." I nodded, even though something in my gut twisted. "All right, just be careful. Let me know how it goes tomorrow." "I will," she said. "You know I love you, right?" "Yeah," I replied, keeping my voice even. "I love you too. Good night." After I hung up, that feeling in my stomach turned heavier. I called Ethan right away. "She's working a party at Alex Carter's place tonight," I told him. "Got it," he said. "We'll keep eyes on her and send you anything we find." "Appreciate it." The next day, I tried calling Liv. Her cell rang, but she never picked up. I called the house line too, straight to the answering machine. A bad feeling settled in my chest. Later that afternoon, I got an email from Ethan. Liv spent the night at Carter's house and is still there. She was quite busy last night. I've attached photos, but fair warning, they're graphic. Full report coming soon. I opened the attachments, and my world collapsed. There she was, the woman I married, the one I thought I would grow old with, half naked, with Alex, and 2 other men I once called friends. One photo showed her on the floor, completely exposed. My hands started shaking. I could barely hold the phone. Tears blur my eyes. I tried calling her one more time. Straight to voicemail. I did not leave a message. I went down to the hotel bar and started drinking, trying to find some way to numb the ache in my chest. The next morning, I checked the location tracker Ethan installed on her phone. Still at Alex's place. Ethan confirmed it with another email and 2 more photos. Liv, surrounded by multiple men, including Alex, his son Chris, and others from our IT firm. Guys I used to respect. There were 3 other men in the room I did not recognize. Probably Chris's friends. I had finished my meeting with the California client that morning. Secured the deal. That should have been a celebration. Instead, I booked an earlier flight home. When I pulled up to her house, her car was gone. I checked the tracker again, still at Alex's place. I went inside, changed clothes, and called Grace's office. She had an opening that afternoon. Before I left, I tried calling Liv again, and this time, she picked up. Her voice sounded breathless. "Hello." "Hey," I said. "It's me. Where are you?" "I'm at home," she replied, not missing a beat. "Just getting things in order before school starts." I stood there, stunned. She was still lying. "I see. Well, I'm finished up here in California. Heading home." "Oh, good," she said. "I've missed you. Call me when you land, and I'll come pick you up." "No need," I said flatly. "I'll grab a cab or something." "Okay, love you," she said. I hung up without saying it back, and I wondered if she even noticed. Shaking my head, I grabbed my keys and drove to Grace's office. Meanwhile, after I hung up, Liv just stood there staring at her phone. I'd always told her I loved her at the end of our calls. But not this time. Not today. And she noticed. The truth was, she had planned to come home after that first night. But being naked and wrapped up between Alex and his son, she convinced herself she deserved it. Told herself it would stop when classes started. That I would never find out. So instead of coming home, she stayed. Alex left for work the next morning, but Chris, his son, kept her company. Later that day, he brought over a few of his friends. More guys. Another round. Another betrayal. That night, when Alex came home, he walked into his bedroom to find her on top of his son. He laughed and joined in. Afterward, as she lay there catching her breath, Alex grinned and said, "Maybe I should send your husband out of town more often." Liv sat up. "You know, I have to start teaching again soon. I won't be able to sneak away during the week." "Why not?" Alex said. "Maybe he'd enjoy watching you with some real men for a change." He and Chris both laughed. Liv shook her head, biting her lip. "I'll admit it. I'm hooked. But I still love Henry. I never wanted to hurt him." "Then maybe we just make sure he's out of the house on weekends," Alex said. "You come stay here. You can play house with us." "It sounds fun," Liv said, her voice unsure. "But he's going to figure it out. Henry isn't dumb." "Don't worry," Alex said, picking up a camera off the nightstand. "I'll handle him." He looked at her. "Just one condition." "What's that?" she asked. "No more sex with your husband," he said. "You're ours now." Liv hesitated. "Got it, but how do I pull that off?" "Use your imagination," Alex said. "Headache, stress, whatever works." "Okay," she said softly. "I'll try." What none of them knew was that across the street, a white van was parked with tiny cameras aimed at every window. Everything they had done, said, and laughed about, it was all recorded. I sat in Grace's office the next day, numb, while Ethan showed me what he had found. Dozens of photos, 2 SD cards full of video. Footage of my wife doing things she had never even mentioned to me, let alone done with me. It was not just cheating. It was something darker. The woman I loved was gone. Grace did her best to talk me through it, but my mind was somewhere else. 5 years of marriage. And this? What did I do to deserve this? I muttered. "And Alex," I added, shaking my head. "I thought he was my friend." Grace looked me straight in the eye. "I'll file the divorce under adultery," she said. "And if you want, I can also file a claim for alienation of affection against Alex and the other men involved. We may not win much, but it could give us leverage." "Do what you have to do," I said. "Just don't let me lose everything over this." "I will handle it," she said. "Just do me a favor. Do not do anything reckless." I did not want to get a call from jail. I managed a dry chuckle. "You won't. I just want this over with. When can you have the papers ready?" "Give me 2 days. In the meantime," she added, "try to keep things normal around your wife. Do not let on that anything is wrong." I'm not much of an actor, I told her. And I'm not touching her again. Not after everything I saw. Who knows what she's picked up from those guys? Tell her you're sick, she said. Buy yourself time. Yeah, all right. I left her office and sat in my car, just staring out the windshield for a long while. That was when it hit me. There was no way I could keep working for Alex. I could not be in that office another day. So I pulled out my phone and dialed the number I had been holding on to. David Thompson, the voice answered. David, it's Henry Mason. Henry, how the hell are you? I've had better days, I said. Is that opening at Empire still available? Of course, he said. You finally ready to make the jump? Something like that, I said. Things have come to light. I cannot stay where I'm at. I'm sorry to hear that, he said. What can I do? Give me a shot, I said. I'll give you the same dedication I gave Alex. You've got it, David said. How about you start Monday? Monday works. David's voice brightened. Why don't you and Liv come over tonight? Emily's cooking her lasagna, and we can talk details over dinner. I appreciate that, I said. But Liv won't be joining. Oh, everything okay? I'd rather explain in person. Understood. Emily's a licensed counselor, by the way, if you feel like talking to someone. I might take you up on that. Great. How about 6:30? Perfect. By the time I got home, Liv's car was still gone. I took a quick shower, changed, then sat down at my desk to write my resignation letter. Around 5 o'clock, she finally walked in. Saw me at the computer. She leaned in for a kiss, but I turned my head. She got my cheek instead. She looked confused. Everything all right? Not really, I said. Jet lag, maybe. Just feeling off. I'm going to sleep on the futon tonight. The futon? She asked. Where are you going? I've got a dinner meeting. Are you meeting someone special? She asked, her voice full of something halfway between suspicion and fear. You mean, am I cheating on you? I said, my voice ice cold. No, I have never cheated. I never even thought about it. Can you say the same? She stepped back, clearly shaken. He knows, she thought. But how? Out loud, she said, I can't. How was your job at Alex's house? I asked. She blinked. It was fine. A little crazy, but fun. I bet. I looked at the clock. I should go. I shut my laptop and stood. No kiss. No see you later. Just walked past her and into the bedroom to change. When I came out, she was sitting on the couch. How long will you be gone? She asked. Not sure. Do not wait up. I grabbed my keys and left without looking back. Behind me, she picked up the phone and called Alex. Alex, she whispered, I think Henry knows. What makes you say that? He asked, a smirk in his voice. He would not touch me, she said. He was cold, distant. No kiss. No, I love you. Just said he had a dinner meeting and left. Did he say who he was meeting? No. She sounded scared. What if he knows everything? What if he is planning to leave me? So what if he is? Alex said, come live with us. Do not worry. I will keep him too busy to think straight. I don't want to lose him, she said, voice cracking. I still love him. Alex laughed. You got a funny way of showing it. I enjoyed what happened, she admitted. But that does not mean I want to lose my husband. Let him cool off. If he comes around, great. If not, we will deal with it. You're not going to hurt him, are you? She asked, fear creeping in. Not directly, Alex said. But we will make sure he knows how things are going to be. You will help with that. What do you mean? When the time comes, Alex said, you will help explain it to him. You belong to us now. I have footage, remember? From the camping trip. You do not want that getting out. She went quiet. Then, okay, Alex. Just please do not hurt him. We will see. Dinner with friends. I pulled into David's driveway at 6:30 sharp. Big two-story house. Front lights glowing. He opened the door with a smile and took the wine from my hand. Glad you could make it, Henry. He led me into the dining room, where Emily was setting the table. Emily, this is Henry Mason. Henry, meet my wife, Emily. We shook hands. Nice to meet you, I said. You too, Henry. Please, call me Emily. She served the lasagna, and David poured the wine. I took a bite. My eyes widened. This might be the best lasagna I have ever had. Emily smiled. It is my favorite to make. After dinner, David leaned in. So, what happened with Alex? Why the sudden change? I took a breath. It is a long story. We have time, Emily said gently. So I told him. I told him everything. By the end, David looked stunned. That's brutal, man. I am so sorry. Emily looked heartbroken. How are you holding up? Not great, I admitted. My attorney told me to act normal around Liv, but I can barely stand to be in the same room. You might want to consider counseling, Emily said. I might, I replied. I will think about it. She helped me through some dark times, David said. She is the best. Do you have room for one more client? I asked. Emily smiled. 1 hour a week. That is all I need from you. I nodded. Okay, I will give it a try. David clapped a hand on my shoulder. Good decision. Let's go over the job details. We spent the next couple hours reviewing everything. By the time I left, I felt something I had not felt in days: control. Back at home, it was just after 10 when I pulled into the driveway. Lights were on. Liv was on the couch when I walked in. How was your meeting? She asked. Fine, I said. I'm going to bed. I headed to the second bedroom and started changing. She followed me to the doorway. Are you sleeping in here now? She asked. Yes, I said without emotion. Still not feeling well. I will take the futon. Oh, okay. Her voice dropped. I was hoping we could spend some time together. You have been gone 3 days. I'm not up for tonight, I told Liv. The thought of being close to her, of even touching her, made my skin crawl. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see. She nodded and walked off, clearly confused. But I was done pretending. As I went through my night routine, brushing my teeth, shutting off the lights, I kept replaying everything in my head: the betrayal, the lies, the footage. It was all right there, burned in my memory. The next morning, I was up before the sun. I made myself a cup of coffee, grabbed the resignation letter I had written the night before, and spotted Liv's purse sitting on the kitchen counter. I quietly retrieved the audio recorder Ethan had planted inside it, downloaded the most recent call, and slipped it back where I found it. I left the house without saying a word. Liv heard the door close from the bedroom. She stayed there, crying silently, the guilt finally starting to sink in. At the office, I barely spoke to anyone. I greeted my assistant, then walked straight into my office and shut the door behind me. I began packing books, pictures, personal stuff. That was when Alex walked in. What's going on? He asked, noticing the boxes. I pulled out 2 envelopes from my briefcase. This one's the signed contract from the California client, I said, handing it to him. The other is my resignation. Effective immediately. He blinked. You're quitting? Why? What the hell, Henry? I need you. I looked him dead in the eyes. You really do not know? You think I'm that blind? He stood there frozen. I know what happened, I said, and I can't work here anymore. I've accepted another position. I'll be out of your life in 10 minutes. Then I'm heading to HR. Wait, Henry, come on. Let's talk this through, he stammered. It doesn't have to be like this. There's nothing to talk about, I said firmly. You weren't just my boss. I thought of you as a friend. You took that trust and set it on fire. You destroyed my marriage. So no, we're not talking. I'm done. Alex crossed his arms, trying to stay cool. So this is about Liv, your wife? She wanted it, Henry. You should have heard the way she begged for it. I stood still, fists clenched. He smirked. It started on the camping trip, the day you and the others were out skiing. She came into the tent, naked, and practically begged me to take her. Said I was bigger than you. What was I supposed to do? That was when you suddenly made up that excuse to send me back to the office, I said slowly. So you could have her to yourself. His smile widened. Yeah, so what? And that waitress job at your party? That was just a setup to get her back in your bed, wasn't it? He didn't even flinch. You catch on quick. I pulled out my phone and hit stop on the recording app. I had gotten it all. Thanks for confirming, I said coldly. Now if you'll excuse me, I've got a final stop at HR before I never see you again. I grabbed my things. Wait, Henry, he called out. You can't use that recording. We'll see, I said. Goodbye, Alex. Rot in hell. As I reached the door, he scoffed. You forgot something. I turned, saw the framed picture of Liv on my desk. I didn't forget, I said. I don't want it. You and your son clearly wanted her bad enough. You can keep her. And with that, I walked out. Alex stood in stunned silence. He picked up the phone and called Liv. He resigned, he said. What? She asked, her voice shaking. Handed me the California contract and his resignation. Then walked out. He knows, Liv. I do not know how, but he knows. What did you tell him? She asked. The truth, Alex replied. Told him about the camping trip. You idiot, she screamed. Why would you tell him that? He asked, Alex said, defensive. He left your picture on his desk, too. Said he didn't want it. Tears poured down Liv's face. So what happens now? Not my problem, Alex said flatly. He's your husband. You deal with him. Unless you want me to come over and persuade him. No, she said quickly. You've done enough. I'll handle it. Whatever, Alex said, hanging up. Liv sat there with the phone in her hand, crying uncontrollably. She did not want to lose her marriage, but she knew there was no hiding now. She had crossed a line that could not be uncrossed. She wiped her eyes and sat on the couch, her head in her hands, sobbing. About 20 minutes later, I pulled into the driveway. Her car was there, but thankfully, Alex's was not. I grabbed my box and briefcase and went inside. Liv was on the couch. I didn't say a word, just walked past her and into my home office, locked the door, and downloaded the new recording. It was all there. Her call with Alex. The lies. The panic. The fear. I sent it all to Grace, then called her. Henry, she answered. Just got your email. I'm drafting the final paperwork now. When can it be served? This afternoon if you want. I can send someone. Do it, I said. Thanks. After we hung up, I opened the gun safe and took out my old .45. I laid it on the kitchen table. Unloaded, but they're just in case. I wasn't planning to use it, but I wanted to be ready if Alex decided to try something stupid. I walked into the kitchen, dropped my briefcase on the table. Liv looked up. Her face was red and wet with tears. We need to talk, I said, gesturing to the gun. That's there for protection, just in case your boyfriend decides to stop by. She flinched. My boyfriend? Don't play dumb, I snapped. I'm not in the mood. Sit down. She obeyed, eyes wide with fear. Later today, I said, someone will come by to serve you divorce papers. Her face went pale. Divorce? No. I love you. Spare me. I know what you've been up to, with Alex, with his son, with others. That's not, she started, but I cut her off. I filed under adultery, and I have proof. I dropped a stack of printed photos on the table. Time-stamped. Clear as day. I've got videos. Audio, too. Want to see them? She shook her head, trembling. Good, I said. Considering everything you've done, I'm being more than fair. No alimony. We split the bank account. You keep your retirement, I keep mine. Your credit card's canceled. Here's a cashier's check for your half of the savings. Her lip quivered. There's also a restraining order. You stay 500 feet away from me, my home, and my job. You're kicking me out? She whispered. That's right. You have until the papers are served to pack your things. What if I fight the divorce? I laughed, cold and bitter. You think the school board would keep you around after seeing these photos? These videos? You wouldn't. You want to take that risk? She dropped her gaze. No, I don't want to lose my job. Then we're clear. 2 more things. I want her rings back, and I want you to give up my name. She pulled the rings off her finger, hands shaking. You've turned into a heartless bastard. Maybe, I said, but I want to know one thing. What happened? What made you become this? She looked away, ashamed. It started on the camping trip. You were out on the boat. I was lying in the tent. Alex came in. I was naked. He looked surprised at first, but then, let me guess, bigger guy, and that was enough. She nodded. Twice during that trip. Once while you were skiing, once when you left for work. I stared at her. None of them used protection, I said. You weren't worried? Pregnancy? Disease? I'm on the pill, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. That doesn't protect you from everything, I said. Was that your plan? Risk it all for a few nights of fun? No. God, no. I shook my head in disgust. Do you know how many women have thrown themselves at me over the years? Women who, frankly, make you look like a warm-up act. I turned them all down, because I thought I had something worth staying loyal to. Tears streamed down her face. You want a bigger guy? Or 10? Hope it was worth it. I stood tall, eyes hard. Start packing. I expect you gone by the time you're served. Please, Henry, she sobbed. Can't we go to counseling? Can't we try again? I will never forgive you, I said flatly. The moment Alex unzipped his pants and you let him in, that was it. You made your choice. But I still love you. I shook my head. Right now, I cannot even stand to look at you. The sooner you're out of my life, the better. She broke down completely, then stumbled off to the bedroom to pack. I watched her drag out bag after bag. She looked up once and asked, Can you help me load the car? Nope, I said. You're garbage. You can take yourself out. What about my wedding dress? She asked. My parents spent thousands on it. Then I suggest you take it, because anything you leave behind is going in the fire. An hour later, she sat down exhausted. I can't fit everything. Can I come back for the rest? No, you're not allowed near the property. Send your parents. I'll give it a few days before I toss anything. Thank you, she said softly. I appreciate that. I said nothing, just stared at the door, waiting for her to walk out of it, and out of my life for good. As Liv stood there, watching her life fall apart, it finally hit her. What am I supposed to tell my parents? She asked. I didn't even look up from the paperwork. Try telling them the truth for once. Tell them you cheated on me with my boss and a bunch of others, and that's why you got kicked out. They'll disown me, she said, eyes wide. Not my concern, I replied. But it'll be worse if you lie. You know how they feel about honesty. Just then, there was a knock at the door. That's for you, I said, motioning toward the entryway. She opened it slowly. A sheriff's deputy stood there, a thick envelope in one hand. Olivia Mason? That's me, she said quietly. May I see some identification? She handed him her driver's license. After a quick inspection, he gave it back and handed her the envelope. You've officially been served, ma'am, he said. There's also a court order. You are required to vacate the premises immediately. She flipped through the documents, trembling. Can I sign now? You may, he said. She scribbled her signature on the last page. I'll return this to your attorney, the deputy said. And remember, if you come back here without a legal reason, you'll be arrested. Is that clear? Yes, she whispered, her voice cracking as tears rolled down her face. She looked at me one last time. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I said. Me too. Goodbye, Liv. Goodbye. And with that, she stepped outside, and the deputy followed. The next few days were a whirlwind. Liv kept her distance. She didn't call or text. Alex, on the other hand, left 2 threatening voicemails. The first was angry and loud. You hear me, Henry? If you don't drop that lawsuit, I'm coming over to kick your ass. I just shook my head and forwarded the messages to Grace. She sent them to the sheriff's office. A few days later, Liv's parents, Charles and Margaret, called. Henry, we'd like to come by and pick up the rest of Olivia's things, Charles said. That's fine, I told him. Just make sure she's not with you. There's a restraining order in place. Understood, he replied with a sigh. When they arrived, they were polite but cautious. As they packed up her belongings, Margaret tried to appeal to me. Henry, she made a terrible mistake. But maybe there's a way back from this. She still loves you. What exactly did she tell you? I asked. She said she got involved with your boss. Margaret answered, eyes hopeful. That she regrets it. That's all. They both nodded. I walked over to a drawer and pulled out the envelope with the photos and SD cards. I set them down on the table and stepped back. Look for yourself. They didn't say a word, but their faces went pale as they flipped through the pictures and watched some of the video clips. Oh my God, Margaret whispered, covering her mouth. Charles's face went red. I had no idea it was this bad. I'm so sorry, Henry. I don't blame you, I said. But now you see why I cannot forgive this. I warned her not to fight the divorce. This is what I was talking about. They nodded, said their goodbyes, and packed up the last of her things. Margaret gave me a hug before leaving, eyes full of regret. That evening, I was halfway through a movie when I heard another knock at the door. I checked the peephole, and my heart skipped. Alex, Chris, 2 other guys I used to work with. Without hesitation, I rushed to my office and grabbed my pistol from the gun's safe. I dialed 911 and tucked the gun behind my back as I opened the door, just a crack. They barged in anyway. We're going to beat your ass, Alex growled, stepping forward. That was it. I raised the gun and pointed it straight at his chest. They all froze. You really want to test me? I said coldly. I've already called the cops. They'll be here any second. You don't have the balls, Alex sneered. You sure about that? Just then, red and blue lights flashed through the window. One of the guys stepped back. Alex? I think he means it. Within seconds, 2 officers were at the door. Sir, put the weapon down, one of them ordered. I slowly lowered the gun and set it on the kitchen counter. These men broke in, I explained. They violated a restraining order and threatened me. Do you have documentation? the second officer asked. I do, I said, handing over the court order from the counter. He looked it over, nodded, then turned to the group. Hands behind your backs. Now. The four men glared at me, but complied. As they were being cuffed, one of the officers asked, Do you have a firearms license for that weapon? Yes, sir. I pulled my wallet and showed him my license and NRA safety certification. He examined both and gave a firm nod. All right, just be careful with it. Keep it secured. Understood. The next few months flew by. I was thriving at Empire. The work was better, the people were respectful, and my weekly counseling with Emily helped me start healing. I picked up a gym habit, started going 3 times a week, even joined a martial arts class for discipline and stress relief. Emily had also pushed me into taking a nutrition course, and I felt sharper, stronger, and more focused than I had in years. The divorce went through without a hitch. Liv never contested it. The lawsuits were trickier. Grace warned me, most alienation of affection cases get thrown out. She was right. 2 of them were dismissed. But the case against Alex? That one stuck. When the judge saw the evidence, photos, videos, financial records, it all clicked. The verdict came fast. Mr. Carter, the judge said, Your conduct is absolutely disgusting. You used your authority as an employer to destroy a man's marriage. You violated court orders repeatedly. I hereby order you to pay the plaintiff $1 million in damages. Alex's lawyer stood. Your Honor, this is highly irregular. The judge glared. Irregular? This entire situation is a disgrace. The order stands. When is the payment due? The lawyer asked. Immediately, the judge said, unless your client wants to spend time in jail. No, Your Honor, the lawyer muttered. He'll pay. Alex cut the check. His attorney passed it to the court clerk, who handed it to Grace, who then handed it to me. It cleared. I paid Grace her cut, and the rest went straight to savings. After that, I started hearing from Alex's old clients, ones who had heard about the case. A lot of them were severing ties with his company. I figured he'd be out of business within a year. Despite the attention, I stayed away from dating. A few women at work made it clear they were interested, but I wanted to wait until everything was final. When the final divorce decree came in, I celebrated with some close co-workers. One of them booked a private dancer, just for laughs, and I let loose for the first time in a long time. A couple months later, I got an unexpected call. Henry, it's Margaret. Do you have a moment? Sure. What's going on? It's Liv, she said softly. She tested positive for HIV. I closed my eyes and let the words sink in. I'm sorry to hear that, but I can't say I'm surprised. She's not on your insurance anymore. I know you're not responsible, but would you be willing to talk to her? I stayed quiet for a moment, then sighed. I'll come by, but only for a few minutes. When I got to their house, I barely recognized Liv. She looked thin, sick, tired. She came toward me like she wanted a hug, but I raised a hand. She stopped and sat down across from me. You look, well, she said, trying to smile. Better than I remember. New job, new friends, a fresh start, I replied. What about you? Not great, she said, eyes down. I have HIV. I got tested after feeling sick for weeks. Your mom told me. I think it happened during one of the group things at Alex's house, she said, her voice shaking. I was with several men that day. None of them used anything. Does Alex know? I asked. Not yet, she whispered. But I plan to tell him. He needs to get tested. Yeah, I said. That'll be quite the conversation. I showed up to see Liv one last time. She looked weak, frail, but for the first time, honest. I wanted you to hear my apology in person, she said, her voice soft, barely more than a whisper. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I hope, maybe, you could. I know I wrecked more than just a marriage. I ruined trust. I broke something sacred. I had chances to walk away, and I didn't. She wiped a tear from her cheek, voice cracking. I had the best husband I could have ever asked for, and I threw that away for something meaningless. I don't want to die knowing I never made things right. I took a moment to let it all settle. This time, there were no excuses. She wasn't dodging blame. She was owning every bit of it. I thought about what Emily, my counselor, said. Forgiveness isn't about letting the other person off the hook. It's about letting yourself move forward. I nodded slowly. All right, Liv. I forgive you. She broke down into sobs, covering her face as her shoulders shook. I thought about walking over, offering her a hug, but she held up a hand, asking me to stay seated. Thank you, Henry, she whispered, barely able to speak. That means more than I can explain. I hope you find someone who loves you for real. Someone who treats you the way you deserve. I will, I said. And thank you for saying that. If you ever need someone to talk to, she said, her eyes full of emotion. I'll let you know, I replied. She smiled faintly. I've missed you more than I can say. I miss the woman I married, I said. The one who wouldn't have done this. How are things with Alex and Chris? I asked gently. She shook her head. Not good. Alex has become volatile. Angry. Losing the lawsuit did something to him. His business is tanking. He's not taking it well. He ever lay a hand on you? No, not yet, but I can feel it coming. You want me there when you tell him about the diagnosis? No, she said, steady now. This is my burden. I need to face it. She looked down at her lap, voice trembling. I keep thinking, if I had just told him to leave that first day on the camping trip, none of this would have happened. Maybe, I said, but the way he pursued you, I think it would have happened eventually. She nodded. You're probably right. I'm exhausted, she said after a long pause. I need to rest before heading back. But thank you for coming, for talking. You're welcome, Liv, I said, rising to leave. And remember, call if you ever need to talk. She nodded again, barely able to meet my eyes. Goodbye, Henry, she said quietly. And think of me once in a while. There was something final in her tone, something that made my gut twist. I will, I said. Just promise me you won't do anything drastic. A tiny smile broke through. I won't. As I turned to leave, Margaret stepped in and wrapped her arms around me. Thank you, Henry, she said. You've given her something she really needed. And it means a lot to me, too. You're welcome, Margaret. Please keep a close eye on her. I will. 2 weeks later, I was eating dinner on the couch, the evening news murmuring in the background. Then I heard it. A local businessman, his son, and a woman believed to be his romantic partner were found dead earlier today in what police suspect to be a double murder-suicide. I sat upright, the fork slipping from my hand. The reporter continued. Jacob, Alex Carter, his son Christopher, and an unidentified woman were discovered with fatal gunshot wounds at a private residence. Authorities believe Alex Carter shot the two victims before turning the weapon on himself. More details will be released following autopsy results. I froze. A cold, sinking feeling hit me. I grabbed my phone and called Margaret. She answered sobbing. Margaret, what's going on? I asked. It's Liv, she cried. She's gone. Alex, that monster. He killed her. Then Chris. Then himself. My breath caught in my throat. I saw the news. I hoped it wasn't her. The police think she told him about the HIV. That she urged him and Chris to get tested. When they found out they were positive, too. I'm so sorry, I whispered. I am too, she said. Liv made her choices, and she paid for them. But I'm grateful she got to speak to you before this. You helped her find some peace. That means something. Anything you need, Margaret, please let me know. I will, she said. Thank you. I took time off from work to attend Liv's memorial. I stood with her parents, helped them through it the best I could. The autopsy confirmed what Margaret had feared. Liv had told them the truth, and the truth destroyed them. Alex positive for HIV. So was Chris. In a rage, Alex shot Liv point blank. Then his son. Then himself. 3 lives gone, and a mountain of pain left behind. I took a few days to grieve, not just for Liv's death, but for the good years we once had. The version of her I had loved deeply. The version that no longer existed. A couple weeks later, I was sitting in the break room when Hannah Brooks, one of the newer faces on my team, walked up with a smile. Hey, cowboy, she said, playful. Happy hour at the Hitchin Post. You in? I hesitated. Almost said no, but something inside me shifted. Yeah, I said. I think I could use a good night. Good, she said, grinning. See you there after work. As she walked away, I smiled. For the first time in a long while, it felt genuine. Then, clear as day, I heard a voice in the back of my mind. A familiar one. Go for it, big boy. She's into you. It was Liv's voice. I turned, half expecting to see her ghost nearby. But the room was empty. A chill ran through me. No, I whispered to myself, trying to shake it off. That's not real. Or was it?